Welcome back to Wong Academy, and this is paper 2 of the RGS prelim exams. Okay, so this is on page 2. Page 2, we have one question. Chloe bought 5N pens. She packed 8 pens into one box and she gives away 3 boxes. How many boxes did she have left? Okay, so let's start with how many pens she has. Right? She has 5N pens. So how many, if she packed 8 pens into one box, how many boxes does she have? So boxes is simply 5N divided by 8. So then it says that she gave away 3 boxes, and then how many boxes does she have left? All right, so boxes left is simply 5N divided by 8. That's how many boxes she has, minus 3. All right, and that's the answer there. So we can leave it as that answer right there, or we could possibly also change this into a single fraction. How do we do that? 5N over 8 minus 3. What's 3 in terms of a fraction over 8? So we multiply the top and the bottom by 8. So we get 24 over 8. So 24 over 8 is the same as 3. All right. So now that we have the same denominator, quite simply, we can simplify that 5N minus 24, all divided by 8. So we got 2 alternative answers there. And just checking the answer, 2 alternative answers which are accepted, and that's correct there. Next page. On page 3 of this exam, here we have the first question. 2 containers with some water are shown below. Find the total volume of the water in the 2 containers. So let's have a look at the scale here. Here we got 350, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each marking is 50 mils. So therefore, this level here is 250 ml. Let's look at this second beaker. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 is 1 liter. So each marking is 100 milliliters. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So over there, we've got 700 milliliters. Add the 2 together, we've got 7, 8, 9, 950. The answer is 950 milliliters. And 950 is correct. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question here, we have below a figure, which is a square and also an isosceles triangle. So here we have 132, and you are to find the angle DBC. So DBC, this is the angle here, that is the question mark, that's what you're trying to find out. So firstly, let's find out what this angle here is. This angle here is quite simply 132 minus 90. So that angle there is equal to 42 degrees. All right, so that's 42 degrees. Now with an isosceles triangle, firstly, we know that all angles within the triangle add up to 180. And secondly, we also know that these 2 angles here, at the vertex B and also at the vertex C, these 2 angles will be the same because these are 2 equal sides. All right. So how do we find out what the remainder is? The addition of B and C angles. Well, 180 degrees minus 42 degrees equals to 138 degrees. So this angle and this angle will add up to 138. We also know that these 2 angles are the same angle because of the 2 equal sides over there. So 138 divided by 2 is equal to 69 degrees. And that is the answer there. All right. Next page. On page 4, let's look at the first question. Sally had some bottled drinks. 60% of the drinks were coffee, while the rest were tea. So let's draw that. Okay, so we got coffee, and here we got tea. All right, and coffee is 60% and tea is 40%. Right? Now let's make it simple. Let's say, for example, that there were 100 bottles altogether. So that's simply 60 bottles and 40 bottles of tea. All right? And then what happens is that she bought more bottles of tea. So let's say she bought more bottles of tea here. And let's call that X. So we don't know what X is for now. All right? Now, after she bought more bottles of tea, or after she bought X number of bottles of tea, in the end, this here becomes 60%, and coffee becomes 40%. Right? So how do we work this out? Well, let's have a look. What is a percentage? A percentage is quite simply the total that you have divided by altogether. So let's see what we have here. We got 40 bottles of tea initially plus X. So 40 plus X divided by altogether. Right? So that's 60 plus 40, that's 100. 100 plus X. 100 plus X. Right? So that has to be equal to 60%, equal 0.6. That's 60%. So let's work that out and find out what X is, find out how many bottles she actually bought. So 40 plus X is equal to, multiply top and bottom by 100 plus X. So we got 0.6, 100 plus X. Let's simplify that. 0.6 times 100 is 60 plus 0.6x. Okay, so let's bring the 0.6x over to the other side. So we got x minus 0.6x. That gives us 0.4x equals 60 minus 40. That's 20. Right, so therefore x is equal to 20 divided by 0.4, which is the same as 200 divided by 4, or equal to 50. All right, so x here is equal to 50. So let's see here, total then we have 90, right? We have 90 bottles of tea. Right? What is the question? Let's have a look at the question again. What is the percentage increase? Okay, what's the percentage increase in the number of bottles of tea? So percentage increase is equal to 50 divided by 40, because we added 50, that's the increase. We want to find out what is this percentage of increase over the original. So that's 50 divided by 40, which is equal to 5 on 4, and 5 on 4 is 1.25. All right, change that into a percentage, which is multiplied by 100. So we got 125%. That's a 125% increase over the original number of bottles of tea. And that's the correct answer there. All right. Okay, now let's have a look at the next question. Here we have a parallelogram, A, B, C, D. That's a parallelogram. Now we know with a parallelogram that this angle here, because of the parallel lines, will be equal to this angle here as well. So this angle here is 110 as well. All right. Now what you're trying to find out is you want to find out ECD. So ECD, that's the angle that you want to find out. All right, let's shade that in. All right, that's the question mark there. All right. So we know that we got 110 degrees here. We also know that that's 88 degrees. So we want to find out what this little angle here is. We subtract that away from 110 and we'll get that angle that we require. All right. So we know that in a isosceles triangle, and here we got the two equal sides, so we know that's the isosceles triangle. All angles add up to 180, and these two angles here are equal to each other. So firstly, let's see, we got 180 degrees minus 88 degrees is equal to 92 degrees. All right, so we've got 92 degrees, which is the sum of this and this. All right, so we are going to divide that into 2. 92 divided by 2, and that will give us 46 degrees. So I'm running out of ink, so let's change the color. So that's 46 degrees over there, and that's also 46 degrees. Therefore, what is that angle there? That angle there is quite simply 110 degrees minus 46 degrees, which is equal to 64 degrees. All right, and that's the answer there, 64. Next page. Okay, so this is page 5. Page 5 has only got one question. 3 friends are folding paper butterflies to decorate the class notice board. To fold one paper butterfly, Carol takes 9 minutes, Diane takes 6 minutes, and Edna takes 4 minutes. They start folding at the same time. How many minutes will they take to fold altogether 285 butterflies? All right. Well, we firstly have to assume that they all finish together, so there are no half butterflies done. All right, so let's see how many minutes it takes for them to complete this task. Well, firstly, let's ask us about Carol. All right, if let's say, for example, that total time, let's call that T. All right, if the total time is T, how many butterflies will Carol make? Well, she'll make T divided by 9. All right, so for example, if total time is only 9 minutes and she takes 9 minutes to do one butterfly, then she only makes 1. If total time is 18 minutes and she takes 9 minutes to make one butterfly, then she makes 2. Okay, so that's the total time there, T. So how many she makes in that period of time is simply the time divided by how long she needs, which is 9. Let's add that to what Diane does. So Diane takes 6 minutes. So the number of butterflies that she makes in that total time will be T divided by 6. And what about Edna? Same thing there. T divided by 4 will be the total number of butterflies that she makes. So the total that Carol, Diane, and Edna makes in total time T is equal to 285 butterflies. So how can we add these 3 fractions together? Well, the key here is to have a common denominator. We can see here the common denominator would be over 36. Right? So 9 times 4 is 36, and that's a common denominator. 6 times 6 is also 36. So 9 times 4, 36, we got 4t plus 6 times 6 is 36, so that's 6t plus 4 times 9 is 36, so we got 9t, and that equals again to 285. Let's add all of this up. So we got 4t plus 6t plus 9t, that's 19t. 19t divided by 36 is equal to 285. All right, 19t is equal to 285 times 36. And what's that? I've got a very simple calculator here. Of course, you'll be using the approved scientific calculator that is allowed in your exam. But I've just got a very simple calculator here. 285 times 36 is equal to 10,260. All right, so that's 19t equals 10,260. T, therefore, would be equal to, divided by 19, 10,260 divided by 19 is equal to 540. All right, and this is in minutes because our original timing here is all in minutes. So our answer is also in minutes. All right, and that's the answer there. That's the total number of minutes it takes to fold 285 butterflies. And let's check the answer there. And the answer, 240 minutes, is correct. Next page. Okay, so this is page 6. We've only got one question here on page 6, and it is quite a difficult type of question. Let's have a read of it. At a bakery, 70 more beef pies than chicken pies were baked for the day. Well, there are only 2 types of pies, so I think the first thing that we know is that the number of beef pies plus the number of chicken pies is equal to the total number of pies. Let's call that B for beef, C for chicken, and T for the total number of pies. All right. Now, we also know from reading this that there are 70 more beef pies than chicken pies. All right, so we also know that beef is equal to chicken plus 70. All right, so we know those two things. There are 70 more beef pies than there are chicken pies. So chicken plus 70 is equal to the same number as beef. All right, so chicken is less. All right. Okay, now let's read on, and this is where things get a little bit complicated, so slow it down and spend some time to think about this. After 450 beef pies were sold, and also 121 chicken pies were sold, well, let's see how many there were left over then, right? So B is the number of beef pies we had originally. How many do we have after we sold 450? Well, minus 450. So that there is how much beef pies we have left. All right. Now, what about chicken pies? We started with C. That's the number of chicken pies that we started with. And we sold 121. So minus 121, that's the number of chicken pies that were left. All right. So number of beef pies that were left, number of chicken pies that are left. Now, we are told that there are 5/12, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated because of the fraction that is given. 5/12 as many beef pies as chicken pies left. Now, I'll interpret this as being 5/12, like so. All right. The number of beef pies is equal to 5/12, the number of chicken pies left. All right. Well, how do I know it's 5 on 12 and not 12 on 5? Or how do I know that, in fact, 5 on 12 should not be on this side? Well, let's think about this. Let's say instead of being 5/12, let's say that's twice as many, right? 2 times, right? So if there were 2 times as many beef pies as chicken pies left, then of course the 2 would be here. Because there are less chicken pies left, you need to double that to be the same amount of beef pies left. So that fraction there belongs over here. Okay, now if you don't really understand that, try substituting, playing around with that number. Instead of being 5/12, let's say it's twice as many, and see where you put that 2, right? You find that you actually put it here. So now we know it is not twice as many, but rather 5/12, so we put the fraction there. Okay, so let's see how we can work this out. All right, let's simplify that. 5/12C minus 121 times 5 over 12. Okay, let me write this down again. 450. All right, B minus 450 is equal to that expression there. Now, I'm just going to change this to 121 times 5. That's equal to 605. So I'm just going to write that out again. Don't worry about writing out a lot of steps in a very confusing question like this. 605 divided by 12. In a very confusing question like this, often it pays to take really small steps and show you're working out. So just in case you get your final answer wrong, at least your teacher can see that you've done your working out, your process is correct, and you get the majority of the 3 marks here. All right. So we're going to leave that as a fraction for now. All right. So therefore, B is equal to 5/12C minus 605 over 12. Bring the 450 to this side, plus 450, like so. Okay? So now we found what B is. And we also know at the same time that B is equal to C plus 70. Right? So let's substitute for that over here. Substitute for that, we get C plus 70. So that's in place of the B, because B is C plus 70. So C plus 70 is equal to 5/12C. I'll just like to, just move this around first. It's going to be the same. I'm just going to put the plus 450 first, because I like to put pluses first rather than minuses, minus second. So plus 450. All right, plus 450 minus 605 on 12. Okay, so our aim here is to try and find out what C is first. And once we know what C is, we can find out what B is. All right, so we go and bring the 70 over to this side. So C, and at the same time, we're going to bring this over to this side. So minus 512C, right, is equal to 450 minus 605 on 12. And the 70, we got minus 70 here. All right, so let's work this side. We got one whole, which is basically 12 on 12. 12 on 12 divided by 512, minus 512, which is equal to 712C. All right, so 712C is equal to, well, let's work on this side now. Let's, I know we're allowed to have a calculator, but of course with calculators, you get decimal points and so forth, which may not be very exact. So let's see how we can work this out exactly, keeping it in fractions. All right, so 450 over 12, what's 450? I've got my calculator here. So 450 times 12 is 5400 divided by 12, that's 450, minus 605 divided by 12, minus, so what's 70 over, what is that, over 12, right? So 70 times 12, that's 840. 840 divided by 12, that's 70. Okay? All right, so let's simplify this. 7 on 12C is equal to 5400 minus 605 minus 840, all divided by 12. All right. Okay, so the 12s can cancel out. We get 7C is equal to 5400 minus 605 minus 840. So 7C is equal to, let's use a calculator here, 5400 minus 605 minus 840. And that gives us 3955. Therefore, C is equal to 3955 divided by 7 is 565. Okay. Now, if we had at this point, at this stage here, perhaps if we had converted that into a decimal, a number with a decimal place, we won't get as nice or as exact an answer there. So you might need to round off. You might lose maybe half a mark there if you don't give the correct answer. All right. Okay. So we know that C, number of chicken pies originally, is 565. Therefore, B, the number of beef pies originally, is C 565 plus 70, which is equal to plus 70, 635. Okay, so therefore, what is the total? The total is equal to the number of beef pies plus the number of chicken pies. So 635 plus 565, right, is equal to, let's plus 565 back again, is 1,200. So the total number of pies originally was 1,200 pies. And 1,200, this is the correct answer there. We got full marks. Next page. Okay, so this is page 7. 7, we've only got one question with part A and B. Whenever we are given a graph like this, I think what they're trying to test you is to try to read the information of the graph. So let's take one step back and let's draw a table to see what numbers these this bar chart actually show, right? So we're going to do a little table here. I'm not sure how big this table is going to be. Let's say this is going to be the number of pets, right? We're going to have the number of families, and here we got the total pets. All right, okay, and we've got families who own 0 pets, families who own 1 pet, family who own 2 pets, 3 pets, and 4 pets. All right. So we're gonna, usually what is done is that we have a table of data and then we draw a graph from the table. Now we're going to work backwards. We have the graph here, or we have this bar chart, and we're going to work backwards to find out what the original data was. All right. So number of people with zero, number of families with 0 pets, reading of that is 360. With 1 pet, reading of the chart, that's 190. The 2 with 2 pets, that's 270. With 3 pets, it's 120. And with 4 pets, it's 40. All right. So that's the data there for the number of families. So the number of pets, we got 360 families with 0 pets. So the total number of pets there will be 0. 190 families with 1 pet. So 190 pets there. 270 families with 2 pets, so we times 2, that's 540 pets. And 120 families with 3 pets, so that's 360 pets altogether. And 40 families have 4 pets altogether, so 40 times 4 is 160. Just imagine having 4 pets. That's quite a lot for a family. All right. Okay. So the question here is, how many pets are there in the neighborhood altogether? All right, so we're just going to add all of this up. I'm just going to change the pen to red so we can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to add all of this up together, and that should give me, let's do a quick calculator. Yeah, 190 plus 540 plus 360 plus 160 equals, the answer here is, let's do a black pen, 1,250 pets altogether. Okay, now let's have a look at this second part here. What fraction of family who own pets, right, families who own pets, have at least 3 pets? Okay, so families who own at least 1 pet. All right. Okay, that's the number of families who own at least 1 pet. We have this regarding the 360. So we have this number here. Let's do that in green. Okay, so we got green here. That there is the total number of families with pets. So it's 190 plus 270 plus 120 plus 40. All right, so 620 families with 1 or more pet. All right. Now, how many families have at least 3 pets? All right, so at least 3 pets will be just these 2. All right, 120 plus 40. So let's change the color back to my black. Number of families with 3 or more pets is equal to 120 plus 40. So that's 160 families. All right. So what is the fraction of families who own pets have at least 3 pets, and give this in the simplest form? So families with at least 3 pets, there's 160, and the total number of families with pets is 620. What's that in the simplest form? Get rid of the zeros, 16 over 62. We can simplify that a little bit more. Let's divide top and bottom by 2. All right, so 8 on 31. And that's the answer there, right? So let's have a look at the answer, just to double check that we got it right. The number of pets in the neighborhood altogether is 1,250. That's correct. And the proportion or the fraction of families with 3 or more pets compared to all families with pets is 8 over 31. 8 over 31. That's correct. Next question.